All right, so we're looking right here at Bitcoin's 6-hour chart. Based on what I'm seeing right here from this technical perspective, it seems like since kind of like July 20th, Bitcoin has been trading within ascending parallel channel, right? So basically, every time Bitcoin rises to the top of the channel, kind of like a correction tends to happen to the middle of the channel, right? From there, it tends to rebound, right? Towards the upper boundary of the channel. And sometimes, when the middle trend line of this parallel channel doesn't hold, basically it leads to a correction to the lower boundary of the channel, and from that point, prices tend to rebound again towards the middle trend line of this parallel channel, right, or even the upper, boundary of this channel. Right now, following the correction, which you could kind of say this was a rejection from that resistance level right there, given by the upper trend line of this parallel channel, right? Bitcoin kind of like dove and found support right at the lower boundary, right? And from that point, right, since August 19, it basically rebounded. Now Bitcoin is facing stiff resistance right here, as you guys can see. Basically, it's trying to overcome the middle trend line of this parallel channel, right? And it has failed to do so a couple of times, right? And right now, I mean, basically yesterday, we kind of like saw a significant spike in the number of Bitcoin being sent to exchanges. That you guys can see, right? It basically rose from around, I mean, there were like 2.46 million Bitcoin sitting on exchanges on August 22nd, and that has risen to basically 2.48 million, which kind of like suggests that there's some people that have been taking profits throughout the recent run up, right? I mean, if we go back in history, kind of like every single spike in the supply held on exchanges kind of like coincides with a significant price correction, right? You guys can see right here also in and around, yeah, well, prices were running up, right, in throughout mid-June, kind of like that spike in the supply of Bitcoin held on exchanges kind of like led to a significant correction. And more importantly, back in July 16, right, kind of like the supply on exchanges went from 2.54 million to around 2.57 million, right? So by July 19th, Bitcoin kind of like dropped to $30,000. Right now, we're kind of like seeing a similar behavior, right? I mean, like basically those significant spike register in the supply hill on exchanges, with which could be, leading to a significant spike in selling pressure or profit taken behind Bitcoin. So uh, given the price action that we have seen basically since July 20th, and combined with that spike in the number of, Bitcoin held on exchanges, it seems like Bitcoin is bound for a correction, which, if the same price action that we have seen over the past kind of like month or so repeats, we could potentially see a downswing towards the lower boundary of this channel, right, which currently sits at around 47,000 to, I will say, 46,600, before we could see a rebound towards, once again, the middle trend line of this channel or the upper trend line of this channel. But yeah, as of right now, when we're looking at the supply here on exchanges, and the fact that also, kind of like the whales holding 100,000 coins have been kind of like cashing out during this upswing. It does seem like Bitcoin is facing some selling pressure behind it. So right now I'm expecting a downswing to $47,000 to $46,000, and from there we'll have to see whether this parallel channel continues to hold, and if that holds, then we can expect an upswing towards the middle, the upper, or the upper boundary of this channel, which currently sits around $55,000. But if that support level right here fails to hold, then I'm expecting a steeper correction, right? Towards, I mean, the first kind of like support level that I can see right here, kind of like sits at $43,000, and then the second one, I believe it's around $40,000. So yeah, we'll have to like see whether Bitcoin can hold about $46,800 basically in the event of a correction. And if that level right there fails to hold, then I'm expecting a correction to 43,000 or even $40,000. But if that holds right there, then we could potentially see an upswing once again toward the upper trend line of this parallel channel, which currently sits at $55,000. I mean, that's my take, kind of like from also a lower time perspective. I don't know if you, Akash, are looking at something different than this.
To be honest, a lot of the levels that I just marked out kind of is very similar to what I'm looking at. Let me just show you. So you have to give me the permission to host.
Oh, all right. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and do that. I believe that you should be able to share your screen now.
Nah, I still cannot. It shows me ask the host for permission.
Okay. Wow, always issues, huh? So yeah, you can go ahead now, I believe.
Yeah, let me just check. Awesome, yeah. All right, so I'm kind of looking at something similar. Although I was kind of looking at this, the parallel channel that you just described the last week. But I think this has evolved into something more. But let me just get back to that in a while, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is this trend line here, inclined trend line. Like as you mentioned, every time we hit this trend line, you saw a good bullish reaction, which pushed Bitcoin higher. And now something similar has happened, and there seems to be an exhaustion as Bitcoin failed to hold about 50K psychological level, right? So for me, what I'm expecting next is for Bitcoin to react off of this 49,000 support level. And if this reaction kind of goes above here, produces a good close, consolidates here, just like it did over here at the 46,000 level, it went above it and then consolidated here, a fake out, and then it went higher, right? So I'm expecting something similar here, this, and then a move to 57K, right? This is my first optimistic scenario. But if I'm a little less optimistic, I would probably go for something like this, right? This correction extends, goes here, consolidates for a while, uh, makes everyone believe that it's going to go higher now due to the consolidation, but it's going to fake out, dip into this 46K support level, and then go higher, finally breach this, and then hit 57K. So the reason why, Ali, I'm not sure if you remember, but the last time we spoke about, you asked me why this was like a massive resistance level, although like IOMAP wasn't showing that much resistance level. I think
Correct.
it's because of this consolidation that happened here, a lot of large wicks kind of moved out. So that was the reason why I was looking at a decisive close above 51,000 to get a move up to 57K. And the reason I'm expecting it to go up to 56, 57K is because of this large, massive candle which initiated the initial drop. I think that was when Tesla announced that they were no longer accepting Bitcoin. So this candle, there's not a lot of price action beyond this particular swing high here, which comes around 51,483, right? So anything beyond this is like a free real estate for Bitcoin up to the open of this candle, which comes around 56,421. So this is usually referred to as fair value gap. And when markets kind of move away fastly from a particular point, they kind of balance it by filling the gap over here, right? So if I were to highlight this, it would be from this swing high to the open of this, right? So this blue section that you see here is a fair value gap. So any close above 51K and like that would confirm the bullish thesis for me, and we could see Bitcoin in 57K probably after like an upswing like this or this over here, but a larger extent. So based on that, if I'm being optimistic, it's what, a 15% upswing. If I'm being a little less optimistic and Bitcoin hits 46K, it's still a 20% upswing, right? So either way, I'm long-term bullish in Bitcoin, short-term a little bearish. Yeah, I'm looking for shorts, but let's see how that goes.
All right, all right. So yeah, basically, I mean, it does seem that we're looking kind of like at the same rising trend line right there. I see it
Mhm.
from a, potentially, parallel channel where the way you have drawn it is just like that rising trend line. And it seems like you believe that a potential correction to that trend line will lead to a fake out to kind of like liquidate all the, a lot of
Early
people that are
longers.
like, yeah, exactly, all the longers that are all the long positions that are being placed in there before a potential upswing to $57,000. That's quite interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Since
as of right now, yeah, go ahead.
just one more thing, right? Since you mentioned about this trend line, I kind of remember that I wanted to come back to this. So now I'm looking at something. If you draw a trend line from 1 second, from 12th July swing high to what's happening right now, it kind of forms like a rising wedge, which could come into play if we breach the lower limit of this demand zone, which is 43,150. I think you were kind of looking at something similar, right, Ali?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is really crucial, even though this is a rising wedge, looks like a rising wedge. And if we do break below the lower trend line and bounce into 46K, this rising wedge scenario is a rather bearish scenario, and it comes into picture only if we dip below the 46K, enter this demand zone, and break below the 40,150, right? If that happens, it's really bad for Bitcoin, and I would expect, yeah, I would expect to move down to probably 40,550, which is highly unlikely considering the bullish structure that we're seeing here, higher highs, lower lows, I mean higher lows. But yeah, something to keep in mind is if we break below 43,150, it's Bitcoin's probably going to retest the 40K level.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So it does seem that both of us are leaning a little bit bearish right now, right? Based on the recent price action and kind of like the rejection that Bitcoin has seen from that $50,000 price level, which could
Mhm.
potentially send Bitcoin towards, 46,800 or potentially $46,000 before we see the next upswing. But yeah, if you're liking this type of content and you actually want to, be updated with how the cryptocurrency market is evolving, make sure to subscribe to this channel.